Hey everyone, back again. I got my new TIG welder in. It's my Everlast PowerTIG 210 EXT. That's the one on the cart right there. Machine down below is my Everlast Power I-Mig 200. The one on this cart right here that I'm working on, currently we're trying to finish up, is my Everlast PowerPlasma 50 plasma cutter. This was the first machine I bought. Bought it last October, so almost a year. Almost a year now. We got a few more months, but pretty much a year of solid, heavy use, and it's held up well. You can see it's filthy and been used and abused, and it's doing well. Well enough for me to be impressed with it to go out and purchase my PowerPlasma 50. This machine's been good as well. What I'd like about this machine is I'm able to power it with my California Air Tools 4620A air compressor. First off, this thing is super quiet, so it's not waking, not pissing the neighbors off if I'm working in the middle of the night, and it's bearable. I can stand right next to it and it doesn't bother me. It's really quiet. It's rated at 2 horsepower, 4.6 gallons, 7 CFM at 40 PSI, 5.3 CFM at 90 PSI, and it runs this plasma cutter and does it well. So because of that, when it came time for me to get my TIG welder, I went right back to Everlast. Again, this is the PowerTIG 210 EXT. It's a brand new machine that Everlast has out. It looks great. You can see it. Look at it. It's beautiful. I almost don't want to get it dirty. It looks so good. I will say this, Everlast is stepping up their game. This, to go from looking like this to looking like this to looking like that's impressive. This is a good looking machine. Okay, now I know some of you guys might be saying, well, it's not about looks, how does it perform? And we'll get to that, not in this video, but we will get to that. So let's talk about the build quality of this thing. I've opened this up, I've opened that up, and I opened this up. When I opened this one up, I did it out of precautionary reasons because I was new to Everlast as a customer, and I had seen some people that had some issues, shipping damage, a few other things online, that opened up their machines to make sure everything was in proper order before they tried to fire it up and discover that a small problem turned into a big problem. So I opened up this machine out of just precautionary reasons. There was a couple of screws in there that were a little bit loose. They weren't loose, but they just needed to be snugged up. So when I got this one, I opened it up for the same reason. Again, there was a couple of screws in here that needed to be snugged up. Nothing too important or anything, but these things are coming from overseas. The factory that builds them handles them. The shipping company that's shipping them into the United States handles them. They're in shipping containers on ships. Then Customs is handling them. Then Everlast here in the United States is handling them. Then whoever the courier company is, whether it's UPS or FedEx or whoever, is handling them too. So it's going through a lot of hands, and they get banged around a bit on their way to your house or your shop. So a couple of loose screws is not that big of a deal for me. But I opened up those machines because of that, and I did the same with this one. But what I will say is that this machine didn't have any issues. There was nothing loose at all. Everything was spot on and just the way it should be. But in the process of me opening this up, I'm glad I did, because I saw some things that really impressed me. Number one is the metal casing. On my MIG welder, you can see it's just flat panels, just the edges. I don't know if it's powder coated or painted or what. Each panel is just kind of screwed on there. and it's just bare bones, real basic. This one is just one panel that's been bent into a U shape and just screwed on here at the bottom, real similar to this, but this doesn't need an access door for, you know, the wire, so it's just the U. But then it has the plastic covers on the front and back that kind of clean it up a bit. Well, this is a lot different, and let me explain why. This not only bends here, but it bends here in this seam. Okay, this top panel is boxed in. You have, let's say that this is the panel. It's bent up at a 90 and then bent over at another, so it's kind of like a U channel on the sides of this, which makes it really, really strong. Structurally, this panel is really, really strong. It's not flimsy. Even when you take it off, it's very, very rigid. And the same goes for the side panels. That impressed me immediately, because that's something they didn't have to do. Okay, they could have easily just did like a lap joint right here and just called it a wrap, you know, and it would have looked almost the same, and it would have been probably cheaper for them to do, but they didn't. And that to me, it makes this machine a lot stronger as far as its case is concerned, and just shows that they're really trying to step up their game as far as quality is concerned. Same thing with the plastic covers on the front and the back. You know, obviously, as far as design is concerned, they've really stepped up their game. This plastic cover over the control panel is really awesome. The control panel itself has something that nobody's going to know about unless they take these machines apart. You remove these 4 screws, and this control panel comes out with just unplugging it. One plug, it comes right out. So if you ever damage this control panel, the button cracks or something here, the knob stops working, maybe the readout gets, you know, screwed up or something. Maybe you hit it with something. Maybe you forget to put this down and you're welding too close to it or grinding next to it and you burn this up or something. Who knows? Maybe just age and longevity just, you know, kills this thing. It's something that 4 screws and just quickly unplug it and plug a new one back in. 4 screws, you're back in business. Real easy to replace. This plastic cover here, real easy to replace too. Just pops right off. Okay. If you like it, keep it on there. If you don't like it, take it off. It's easy. I like it for dust reasons. Now, granted, it's not going to keep all the dust out of there, but it's going to greatly reduce it. So I like that, which is something that neither one of my other 2 machines have. Let's go to the back panel here real quick. Another feature that I liked was the power switch. It's got a dust cover on it, little rubber plasticky boot thing on here. Again, it's another one of those features that they didn't have to do. Neither one of my other machines have a dust cover over the power switch. This one does. You know, you can't complain about that. Those are quality features that not everybody offers. Let's talk about this real quick. This is where your gas inlet is at. Because this is coming from overseas, this is I don't know if it's metric, but it's something that's non-standard as far as an air fitting is concerned. It looks like a quick disconnect for an air hose, but and it is, but it's just not standard. Okay. A lot of people that are buying these machines, not just from Everlast, but from there's a lot of other manufacturers out there. What they're doing is they're taking a clear hose like this, taking a hose clamp, and they just push it over this fitting and clamp it down on there. Okay, which is it's perfectly fine. It's not that big of a deal. But this is what Everlast did on this machine. They gave me this. This is a quick disconnect with the barb fitting. So now I can take my hose, connect my hose to the quick disconnect here, and I can actually use a more permanent hose clamp instead of these screw-on types, and connect it to this quick disconnect permanently. And if I ever need to disconnect this, I just do that. And ta-da! That's awesome. I don't know, I haven't seen any videos of any other machines that have this piece. This was something that I was intending on ordering online, and it was in the box, so that saved me some time and effort, so that's awesome. The machine doesn't come with a hose, okay, so you're going to have to get yourself a hose. That's no big deal. It does come with a flow meter. My flow meter's not here yet. UPS decided that one of the boxes that they shipped wasn't going to show up at the same time, but I'm pretty sure the flow meter is going to be like this. This is the flow meter I got with my Power I-Mig 200. So it could be different, but I don't know. Probably not. So let me plug in my camera real quick. My battery's about ready to die. Sorry about that interruption. Get us back over here. Okay, so when I get the flow meter tomorrow, and you don't get a plug also. Okay, this is normal. None of my machines came with plugs except for my PowerPlasma 50, but it was a plug that I couldn't use in my shop. This is a 220 volt machine only, so you're going to need to get the plug that you need in your shop. I have the NEMA -60, I believe they are. I'll put a link down in the description to the plugs that I have in my shop. So what I'm actually going to do, instead of buying one, I'm going to take the plug off of either my MIG welder or my plasma cutter, because these are both dual voltage machines. I'm going to use that plug on this, since this is not a dual voltage machine, and put a 110 amp plug on whichever one of these machines I remove from here, and build me a pigtail so that I can start using these machines on dual voltage like they were intended to be. But this one isn't dual voltage, so I'm going to want the 220 on here. What else can we talk about here? Okay, ground clamp. Ground clamp is really good. Great spring tension. Copper contacts. The strap in there connecting the contacts is actually, it's not even that braided stuff, it's like a solid strap. It's copper. The bolt for the lug here is copper. The metal here that the actual handle is made out of, I don't know what it is, but it's got that gold kind of look like you would find on grade 8 bolts. And even though it's thin metal, it feels really solid. It feels really good. And it's probably due to the way this is stamped out and has this kind of boxed edge all the way around the entire handle. That's probably what makes this thing feel really solid. It feels really, really good. It's a different clamp than I have on my other machines though. My other machines have a clamp like this. Again, great spring tension. It's got the braided copper strap inside. It's got the different type of copper ground clamps, or contacts, excuse me. But then it's got this silvery, I don't know if it's nickel or what, coating on this thin metal, but it's not boxed in all the way around, and you can kind of feel it. It doesn't feel quite as solid as the other one, but very, very minimal. It's still what I would consider to be a good clamp. When you're TIG welding, your ground clamp goes on your positive. It's a regular DIN style connector. I believe these are DINs 25 if I'm correct. If I'm not correct, please feel free to correct me. You just push it in, there's a little lug right there, and you twist it and it gets tight and you're done. As far as your foot pedal, we'll skip the torch. We'll talk about your foot pedal here real quick. Foot pedal, I don't really have anything to compare it to. I'm new to TIG welding. I've never TIG welded before. The only thing I have to compare this to is maybe an accelerator pedal in a car. I'm big into motorsports and vehicles, and I don't want a pedal that's overly sensitive, and I don't want a pedal that feels like it's like catchy, like it doesn't go through its motion smoothly. This goes through its motion real smoothly. The idea behind a foot pedal with TIG welding is that you can, on the fly, in the middle of your weld, adjust your amperage by either pressing down to give more amps or letting off to decrease the amperage, and will let you control your puddle and be able to fine-tune it that way, okay? This machine will give you your upslope and your downslope and all of that stuff. Essentially, you don't need to even use any of those settings when you're using a foot pedal, because you can create your upslope with your foot pedal and create your downslope with your foot pedal. What upslope is going from 0 up to whatever amperage you need to maintain your puddle, and then your downslope is going from, let's say you're at 60 amps, going from 60 amps down to 0, and the time you would take to gradually decrease that amperage. You can replicate that with a foot pedal. As far as the foot pedal is concerned, I've seen some on the market that have like a knob, a little dial knob on here. What that knob is, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, it's an amperage limitation. This machine is a 210 amp machine. I might not want this pedal to go all the way to 210 amps when it's floored. I might want to set this and limit it at, let's say, 100 amps. Okay? And the reason being is that, like, let's say I'm welding some sheet metal or something, some really thin stuff, let's say 22 gauge sheet metal. If I limit this pedal to, let's say, 70 amps, 60 amps, my range doesn't change, okay? The range of, when I press this all the way down, it's at 70 amps, okay? When I let off, it's at 0, because I limited the amperage on this. So what I'm doing is I'm broadening up the area that I'm actually using, versus saying, okay, I'm going to leave it at 210. Now, if I'm trying to weld within like 50 to 70 amps, my adjustment here, I'm only going to be barely pressing the pedal to make those adjustments, and they're going to be big, broad adjustments in relation to whether if I were to limit this pedal. If I limit this pedal at, let's say, 100 amps, all of a sudden I'm doubling the amount of movement that I can move this pedal before it'll change an amp or two or whatever. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll try to explain it in a follow-up video when I'm actually using the machine. The cable on this looks real good. Connector on it. Ignore this. This is my extension cord and my power for my camera. I don't know what to say about that. It just plugs into here. Plugs right into there. It's got a little keyway type situation here on the plug, and once you get it slid in, then you slide on this collar and screw on the collar. The same thing for the torch control. The torch control, that's what this one is. The pedal's got its own, so you just switch them out depending on which one you want to use, and just change your settings here in the control panel to either torch control or foot pedal. What else do we got here? Let's talk about the torch itself. Let's get one thing out of the way immediately, because I know this is going to come up. This Pyrex cup and this gas lens on here does not come with this machine. Okay, this is something I bought later. We'll talk about that in a follow-up video. So look for that video if you're interested in that. And I would, if you like this Pyrex type setup, or interested in the one that's out there is a big brand, look for this video, because this is not made by that brand. This is number 26 torch. According to, let's say, CK Worldwide, they build TIG torches. This would be considered a 3 series torch, which is a larger torch. They have their 2 series torches, which is substantially smaller than this, and that's typically what is preferred by a lot of people in the industry. Because it's a small torch, they're able to get into tight nooks and crannies. The reason why this torch is so big and that's the torch that was chosen to use on this machine is because this is an air-cooled torch. It's also rated at 200 amps. Because this machine is a 210 amp machine, it needs a 200 amp torch. Because this machine is not set up to be water cooled, the torch isn't, you need to have an air cooled torch that is sold with the machine that can handle the machine's full capacity. That's why you have such a large torch. You can get a smaller torch. You can go with a 2 series torch. A very popular one is like the number 9 torch that CK Worldwide offers. Again, it's substantially smaller. Does not have the torch control button on there, though. I will say that. So it doesn't have that, but it's a lot smaller. And if whatever you're welding on requires a small torch, you're going to want something like that. The only problem with going with a smaller torch is that you're going to probably need to, depending on what you're welding on and the amperage that you're welding at, you're going to want to have a water-cooled torch, because if you have a 200 amp machine and you try to use a small air-cooled torch, you're going to run that torch past its duty cycle and you're going to cause damage to the torch and I don't know, maybe even your machine. You're going to overheat it, basically. So just know that if you want to go with a smaller torch, that you really need to get a water cooler. That's the route you're going to need to go. It's a flex head torch. This is hard for me to do with one hand, but if you watch, see how the head flexes? It doesn't just go in this direction, it'll go in any direction, left, right, up, down, side to side, whatever. That'll help you get into tight corners or around objects depending on what you're working on. Let's say you're under a vehicle and you're working on something, that flex head will come in real handy. So that's something that's standard with this machine, is the flex head torch, so that's nice. Again, that connects to the negative. One thing I will say is that UPS, like I said, is bringing me another package tomorrow that should have been here today. In that package is actually an adapter for this torch. If you look right here, this torch is touching the plastic front, the air line in here. There's an adapter that comes with this machine to move this out so that doesn't come in contact. I would have it today, but again, UPS for whatever reason didn't deliver that box today, and it'll be here tomorrow. Same thing with my air regulator, or flow meter, I mean. Your air hose, it's braided. It's not metal braided. I don't know if it's nylon or what the material is, but it's a braided hose. Quick disconnect. Same type of, I believe it's the same type of air fitting that's on the back of the machine. Just press it in just like that. What I liked about it is that you have this cap. This cap will cover this end up like this. So if you're not using this torch, you can cover that up and prevent dust and crap from getting inside of there, which is a necessary thing, because let's say I haven't used this torch in months and I decided to use it and I got metal dust inside of there. All that stuff's going to get pushed through this line and could potentially get jammed up in this torch and clog it up and cause porosity and other welding issues because it's not getting proper airflow. So that's a nice little added feature that they didn't have to do, and they did. And I think, again, it just shows that Everlast is really stepping up their game as far as trying to bring everybody quality machines and looking at stuff like that and taking things into consideration like that. So really happy to see that. Okay, I'm forgetting one other thing. This is what the torch comes with. You get this long back on here for full-length tungsten. You get a number 7 ceramic cup, a number 6 ceramic cup, a number 5 ceramic cup. You get 3 different size cullet and cullet bodies. The cullets are in here. The cullets actually are tri-type setups. If you see here, See how it's split into 3 pieces? This is not normal. Normally they're just split in half. It's into 2 pieces. The 3, according to what I've read and heard, what that does is it helps you get a more uniform pressure on your tungsten to secure it into place. So that's neat. The 3 different sizes, I believe what they are, there's numbers on these, but I don't know what the numbers mean. This one's got a 24 on it, this one's got a 32 on it, and this one's got a 16 on it. I believe it's 16. I know that one of them's a 1/16 of an inch tungsten, one's 3/32 tungsten, and one's 1/8 inch tungsten. What those other numbers mean, I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not worried about it. If you're worried about it, look it up. Some of you guys are new and don't know nothing about this and don't know what these sizes mean, and I'm right there with you. It took me a while to figure out all that stuff. I'm going to do follow-up videos on different cup sizes and try to explain that a little bit better to you guys. I'll do follow-up video on tungsten sizes, as well as a follow-up video on gas lenses versus not using a gas lens. So these are all things that took me a long time to research, and I figured I'd just make some videos to talk to you guys about that and give you all the ins and outs of that. I'm not sure if I showed you this yet. Like I said, it's got the back cap for the full-length tungstens, and it's got this button cap. So you can cut your tungsten down and use a short piece of tungsten. Now you don't have this big old long stick hanging off the back of your torch. Help you get into some tighter spaces. So that comes with that. Am I forgetting anything? Yes, I am. Okay, here, let me put you on the tripod real quick. We got to talk about the stick electrode holder, and then we can wrap this video up. To me, this is a pretty important feature to talk about. I got 2 stick electrode holders right here. Here's the first one. Okay, this one came with my Power I-Mig 200. Before I bought that machine, I had never seen an electrode holder like this. Okay, the way this one works is you stick your electrode in here. But to do that, you have to unscrew the top. You don't take it all the way off, just loosen it up. It's spring tensioned inside of there, and you can't really see it, but there's a little lever inside of here. You put your electrode in, and then tighten it up. And when you tighten it up, it's going to clamp down on your electrode and keep it from falling out of there. The problem I have with this is that you get one angle and one angle only. Okay, which I don't like. I don't really like this electrode holder. I've used it like 2 times. I rarely stick weld, but I still don't like it. Let me show you the one that comes with the 210 EXT. This is what they give you with that one. This is what I expect from a stick welding electrode holder. Great spring tension. It's got grooves inside of there, you can see, for different angles for your electrodes. One thing that I definitely wanted to talk about, there's a video out there on YouTube, okay, right now, and it's from a competitor brand, and I don't have anything against the competitor. I'm not being paid by Everlast to put this video together. I'm paying for this machine myself, okay? It would be awesome if people gave me free stuff, but that's not the case here. But there's a competitor out there that sent out a machine to one of the popular YouTube channels out there. The guy doing the review, he had an issue with that electrode holder that came with that machine. It looked exactly like this, but there was a problem. If you look right here, see how this gap here? This is clamping down even all the way across. On that machine, it wasn't. It was doing kind of like an alligator mouth type thing like that, but opposite. So this end was touching, but this back end wasn't. So if you put a small electrode in here, it would slide right out unless you clamped it down from the very front. Okay, he stick welds a lot, so that was very, very important to him. And a big, in my opinion, that would have been a big deal for him because he stick welds all the time. I don't really care, but when I do need to, I'm happy to know that this electrode holder fits perfect. It's going to hold any size electrode in there without any kind of problem at any angle or any position in this clamp. So I'm not sure what the situation was with that electrode holder. I don't know. I don't have any experience with that other company, and I'm not that other guy, so I don't know what the reason was, because like I said, the electrode holders look exactly the same, but this one's lined up properly and his wasn't. So I wanted to point that out. Great electrode holder, very happy with this. When it comes time for me to stick weld, I'm not going to be worried at all about this. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I've got some follow-up videos that I'm going to do. I'm going to do stuff, again, like I said, with the Pyrex cup, talking about that, who I bought it from, what sizes come in the kit, how much it cost. I'm going to talk to you guys about tungsten sizes, not tungsten type. So I'm not educated enough to talk about tungsten type, but the difference in tungsten sizes and why you want different sizes of tungsten. I'm going to talk about the different cup sizes and why you're going to want different sizes of cups, different lengths of cups, so on and so forth. So there's going to be some follow-up videos on that. I'm going to do a follow-up video on how to assemble and disassemble your torch. And just the whole process, the learning process of me learning this machine and learning how to stick weld both steel and aluminum. I'm even going to get into stainless steel, maybe at some point magnesium and titanium, who knows. I've got an actual shop, so I'm not just doing this as a hobby. So I need to learn how to deal with those types of metals, so if a customer comes and needs it done, that I'm able to do it. So, thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, like. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please check out alvarezmetalworks.com. That's my website. It's the same video content, but it's laid out in a better fashion, and will allow you to shuffle through the stuff and find what you're looking for better. It's categorized off to the right, where you can see, projects that I'm building, or reviews, unboxings, tips, things like that. It categorizes them so that you can find those videos better. If you're interested to hear more about the PowerPlasma 50 or the I-Mig 200, definitely check out my website, because those videos are on my website about those machines. Check out Everlast. Again, this is my third machine from them. Although I haven't used that particular machine yet, I'm confident that it's going to work well. My other two machines do, and sometimes you got to ignore some of the horror stories out there and take a chance on things if you want a great price, a good product at a great price. And I'm a firm believer that this company is providing that to people that don't necessarily have, $4,000 to drop on a equivalent TIG welder that you would buy from a big brand out there. So there'll be a link in the description, or on my website page, wherever you're looking at this at. There'll be a link there for you to find information about the PowerTIG 210EX, as well as the two other machines I have. I'm also going to include a link about my air compressor for those that are interested in this little setup I've got going on here. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Again, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.